Beneath the ancient sands of Egypt, in the dark mysteries of time, there lies the story of Osiris, the god of the underworld, resurrection, and the eternal cycle of life and death. But surrounding Osiris were powerful goddesses, whose influence not only shaped the fate of Osiris himself, but also held sway over the cosmic order of life, death, and rebirth. This is their story. Osiris, one of the most important deities of ancient Egypt, ruled over the underworld and symbolized the cycle of death and resurrection. He was more than just the god of the dead. Osiris was also the god of agricultural fertility, tied to the vital, life-giving floods of the Nile River. Yet his story is not one of isolation. Osiris's journey into death, dismemberment, and ultimate resurrection is deeply entwined with the goddesses who shaped his destiny. The first and most prominent goddess in Osiris's story is Isis, his wife and the queen of the gods. Known for her immense power in magic, Isis was not only a devoted wife but a mother figure and protector to all. After Osiris was betrayed and murdered by his own brother Set, it was Isis who sought out the scattered pieces of Osiris's body. Her relentless determination, combined with her powerful magic, allowed her to resurrect him, though only for a time. Through her magical abilities, Isis breathed life back into Osiris, long enough for them to conceive a child, Horus, the falcon-headed god who would one day avenge his father's death and reclaim the throne of Egypt. But Isis's role as a goddess went beyond her duties to Osiris. Nephthys, the sister of Isis and Osiris, is often overshadowed in the myths, but her presence is deeply significant. She represents the mysterious and shadowy side of the underworld, a goddess associated with mourning and the protection of the dead. Nephthys was often depicted standing by Isis's side, assisting her in the rituals of resurrection. But Nephthys was more than just a passive mourner. She was a guardian of the deceased, offering her own form of magic and protection. In many ways, Nephthys and Isis together represented the duality of life and death. Isis, the force of life and fertility, and Nephthys, the protector of the dead. Hathor, the goddess of love, beauty and joy, may seem like an unlikely figure in Osiris's story of death and resurrection. But Hathor was also known as the Lady of the West, the guide for souls entering the afterlife. She played a critical role in helping the deceased navigate their way through the underworld. Hathor's connection to Osiris lies in her duality. While she is often shown as a goddess of life and pleasure, she also stands at the threshold of death, helping souls transition smoothly into the afterlife. Like Isis and Nephthys, Hathor too plays a role in the resurrection cycle. At the heart of Osiris's death is betrayal. Set, the god of storms and chaos, was Osiris's brother. Driven by jealousy and the desire for power, Set tricked Osiris into laying inside a beautifully crafted coffin, which he then sealed and threw into the Nile. But Set wasn't finished. He found Osiris's body and tore it apart, scattering his remains across Egypt. This act set into motion the events that would define the Egyptian understanding of death, resurrection, and the cycle of nature itself. Osiris's death mirrored the natural ebb and flow of the Nile's floods, which brought life to Egypt but were always followed by the barren dry season. Thanks to Isis's magic, Osiris was resurrected, but he could no longer live among the living. Instead, he became the ruler of the underworld, where he presided over the souls of the dead and judged them based on their deeds in life. His resurrection was not just a myth, but a symbol of the eternal cycle that the Egyptians saw in their environment. Just as Osiris's body was scattered and reassembled, the Nile flooded and receded each year, bringing life to the land before retreating back into its banks. Osiris became a symbol of this eternal cycle, death, rebirth, and the promise of life after death. The story of Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Hathor is more than just a tale of gods and goddesses. It is a reflection of the human desire to understand life, death, and what comes after. The goddesses of Osiris, each embodying their own aspects of life and death, played crucial roles in maintaining the balance of the universe, just as the Nile maintained the balance of life in Egypt. To the ancient Egyptians, these goddesses were not just mythological figures. They were symbols of hope, protection, and the eternal cycle of existence. Their story continues to captivate us today, as we search for meaning in the mysteries of life and the world beyond. Life, death, and resurrection. Just like the Nile, just like Osiris, just like us all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration of the goddesses of Osiris and their role in ancient Egyptian mythology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more incredible stories from the ancient world.